to fornicate again. Say I am falling again. Ah, is it true that one just stumble into fornication or you walk into it?
Welcome to another episode of Beyond Purity. It's Fola. Today we have a very special person in the house. She's so special to me. She's my brother, my mentor, role model, name it. And she's beautiful. She's career focused. She's everything, like everything. Just name it. Anything you can think of in a woman, she is. Then she's going to talk about stumbling into fornication. So people join me today as we welcome Mrs. Taiwo.
Hello everyone, my name is Otto Taiwo, like she introduced. So this is the small me. Don't mind all the addition. Thank you.
Alright, ma. So ma, today we want to tell us about stumbling into fornication. Like there are some people that believe that one can just fall into fornication. That is what today's show is all about. So we'll be asking you few questions, just few questions from your own perspective, their words, but everything from your perspective based on the word of God. I know the key verse for this show is Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, that says that God made them in his image created a male and female. And that's one thing that everything was good, everything we created was good. So what is purity to you? We are beyond purity show.
Thank you very much. In my own words, I will just say that purity is a state of cleanliness, and I don't want to use the word pure again. It's a state of, let me say, divine. A state where you are divinely committed or connected to God in all ways, physically, sexually, or anything. Where everything that goes on within you has to do with God. Where God is the focus, God is the center. So I would just say that that is the meaning of purity, having a sense of cleanliness, holiness in all sphere.
Thank you, ma. Now, virginity. What is virginity to you, ma?
Okay, talking about virginity in today's sense of the word, it simply means someone who is, let me say, sexually innocent, someone who has not been engaged in the actual point of sexual intimacy. Okay, in the direct word of sexual intimacy, I've heard of people talking about secondary virginity, primary virginity, and the questions that you've asked initially about purity also has a link with virginity. It's simply talking about a state of sexual purity or sexual innocence. Let me just leave it at that.
Thank you very much, ma. Now, there are a lot of, thank God from what you said, that today we have a lot of definition for virginity, that there are secondary primary, especially if it's not had or this intimacy, sexual intimacy, it tends to be a virgin, you tend to be a virgin. Now, and we have a lot of sexual brokenness, because to me I believe that as a whole person, our sexual base, who we are, is what made us who we are, because it created us in our female, and it has a lot of things. It has to do with our spiritual life, physical life, emotional life, mental life. That is what makes us sexual being. Now, there are a lot of sexual brokenness out there in form of, name it, a lot of pornography, all those things. So to you, ma, what is sexual brokenness?
Well, I'll just say sexual brokenness is any form of sexual activity outside the definition of God. Any sexual activity that is not God inclined, something that you do that you cannot boldly portray to the outside, that you cannot boldly say. We have a lot of them, we mentioned them, but whether from pornography to rape, to molestation, to masturbation. So I'll just say that as long as you engage in any sexual activity that is not God-centered, that is the simple definition of sexual performance.
Okay, ma'am. There are some people that they believe that, oh, they are sexually pure, they are this, in as much they are not having vaginal sex, either male or female. That you can do every other thing, you can do this, but I am still a virgin and I am still sexually pure. What do you say about that, ma'am?
Well, like I said, we are in a world now where we define our things according to self-righteousness. You know, we have our own way of making things to look good, to suit us, I would say. Actually, if we want to look at it in the sense of it, if you say someone is a virgin, in our own literary meaning, it simply means someone who has had sexual intercourse. Whether it is vaginal intercourse, because we have a lot of things right now, whether it is via the vagina or oral, or as long as the person has had intercourse. But it used to be that for the female, as long as the hymen, I hope we understand that the hymen, which is the covering of the vagina, has not yet been punctured or penetrated into, the lady is termed virgin. That is the literary meaning. But that has its downside. It has its downside because a lot of people now leverage on that, and they try to tag along, do every other thing aside from that penetration, that vaginal penetration, and still say they are virgins. Actually, in the English sense of the word, a lady that the hymen hasn't been broken is still a virgin. You understand what I'm trying to say? But it has given a lot of young people opportunity to now go the other way, enjoy every other sexual form of intimacy without the actual intercourse.
So that is to say that being virgin is beyond physical intercourse, is beyond this vaginal sex. So, and as a child of God, everything that has to do with our body must remain pure. Okay, ma'am.
Hardworking, very considerate, and consistent. What always makes me smile? Love. Like when I see love in the air, I smile when I see love being executed. Childhood dream. I want to be a pharmacist, travel all around. My first pregnancy of my first baby. I thought I was pregnant with my first child. Okay. I want to be remembered for being consistent, passionate about the younger generation, especially the female gender. To my younger self, but real, I was just be the best version of you. Be who you are. Be the best version of what you want people to see about you.
We've been talking about sexual brokenness, that this and this is keeping myself pure, or purity or virginity is only for the female side, because you said it's only obvious, it's only female that has an hymen. Guy does not have hymen. I'm not even know if any guy is a virgin or not. Is it is purity, is virginity only for the female side?
No. The only thing here is that you can only evaluate the virginity of a female. You can only see a female and ascertain that she is a virgin either by the broken hymen. For the male gender, it's difficult to actually say, oh, this person is a virgin or not. But the fact remains, like I rightly defined earlier, that as long as whether a male or female has not been involved in any form of sexual relation, sexual intercourse or intimacy, then the person is a virgin, so to say. But it is not, purity is not just for the female gender, because it's not only female. When you talk about intercourse as God ordained it, it's supposed to be between a male and a female. So when you say a girl is no longer a virgin, obviously she must have had sexual intercourse with a male. So when we talk about intimacy, it has to do with this young generation, both the male and the female gender. It is just, now they say it is men's world. So we have a lot of pressure on our girls because you can easily say, oh, I want to check whether you're a virgin, and you can easily ascertain, you can confirm that a girl is a virgin, and there's no way you do that for the male gender. So it's just the way it is, just the way it is. But actually, it should be both for our male and female children.
So purity is for both, for male and
It's for
female.
everybody.
So no gender
It's for
discrimination.
everybody.
Okay, ma'am, with my little knowledge of biology or maybe or human anatomy, we talked about hymen, like female can be accessed through the hymen. But there are some people that they are born without hymen, or they have a loose hymen, or through activities. So what do we say about that now when they assess them and this person has kept every aspect of her life pure? And maybe through a session or on the night, wedding night, they found out that hymen is not there. Or some people, even if hymen is there, through from the first intercourse, there is no bloodshed because due to the type of hymen they have. So what do we say about that? Can we still say that person is not a virgin, she has spoiled herself, blah blah blah?
It's just that we base a lot of things on tradition, old principles, and all that. If the awareness is out there that there are people born without hymen could actually be broken through rigorous or physical exercises. There are some female that are engaged in highly tasking, like maybe wrestling, boxing, that it has been reported that the hymen got broken via those routes. So it's possible. So I believe that if someone says I am a virgin and eventually it is discovered that the hymen is broken as a result of enlightenment, it depends on the person. Like if the person is a trustworthy person, whether it has to do with someone who is newly married, who has told the parents or the husband to be that I am a virgin, and on the night of the wedding it is discovered that the hymen was not there, or it's been broken before or something. I believe that you can easily assess someone who has been involved in sexual intimacy, even in the act itself. During the act, you will know someone who is innocent, how the person will be involved in the act. You understand what I'm trying to say? Unlike someone who is enlightened, it's just like saying someone who hasn't driven a car, you give the person a car to drive. Even if you have read it, practical is different. It is different regardless of what you have seen, what you have watched, what you have heard. When you get there, you find out that, oh yes, I know where to put the key, the ignition, you understand? But you will just go like, it's a whole new level. It's a whole new level. So we have to understand that. So based on that, well, a lot of downsides now where people will be, oh, she's just trying to pretend that she doesn't, but I believe in understanding. It depends on the relationship between the female and the male, maybe the husband or something, for you to actually have to say, okay, this is it. It's possible that this could have happened. That's why we talk about enlightenment, just like you're doing now. People need to know that hymen can be broken through different means other than sexual intercourse. Right?
Thank you, ma'am. How do I handle sexual curiosity? As a teenager, as both male and female, even as a young child, because a lot of things are happening. We are curious, we want to know a lot of things. How do I handle this curiosity? And I'll still remain pure. You said that it's not just run after virginity, we should run after purity of our heart, of our mind, of our spirit, of our everything, all aspects of our life. So how do I handle that curiosity that do come so naturally?
Okay, very lovely question. Curiosity is an attribute of human nature. As a human being, you must be curious about one thing or the other. And sexual curiosity is an attribute of puberty stage. It just occurs that some people are more curious than the others, possibly based on what they fit themselves with, the environment you live in, what you are exposed to. It will determine your level of curiosity. But I would say that curiosity is the nature of everyone, and sexual curiosity is the nature of every budding human being, a human being that is a budding, that is trying to come out. But the truth is that a lot of how to handle that lies on the adult, the mentors, the parents. We should all know that it will get to a certain stage. This girl will begin to wonder what is happening. The media is not even, is not helping. We have cartoons now that act to, they depict sexual scenes. They are cartoons. I've seen it, sometimes I sit down while my children are working. I've seen cartoons that talk about dating and all that. And there was a day I just asked my boy, then it was about 6 or 7 years, what's dating? Okay, I said, well, I'll be going out, so myself and their dad will be going out, and he was like, are you going on a date? And I was like, okay, what do you understand by a date? He said it is when two people go out to fun places, like a park, eatery. So I was curious, I asked him, okay, what else? What else? It was just like, yes, they go out, just two people, a boy and a girl, or a man and a woman, you know. So he has that understanding already. You know, only God knows how much more he has heard that is there. But it will come out when you communicate with them, you talk with them, then they bring out some of those things that they have in them already, that they've heard or they've learned or they've seen. And now lies on the adult to correct that notion or to fine-tune it, because it may actually be true. But for every age, you know, you have what the level of curiosity can be managed by the adults. Oh, right now this is this. Oh, they ask some questions, you answer. There are ways to answer some curious questions. So our young ones should, at this point in time, we should create an enabling environment for them to open up. Let them talk. They have, you know, if we say, oh, my children, they don't know anything, this one is still innocent, please, we are deceiving ourselves. They know a lot. So let us create an enabling environment so that they open up with their curious, you know, their curious questions, very, you know, and then the adults will know, okay, this is how to handle it. This boy or this girl is this age. I can handle it this way. I can answer it this way. And you divide their curiosity one way or the other. You know, so curiosity is setting. We have to be. We definitely. It is very setting. You have to be curious. Even as old as I am now, I am still curious about some things. Even in the act of sexual whatever, I hear some things and I'm like, yeah, really, what is that? And I'm curious. I'm like, okay, but you know, we are fortunate when you get to the stage of adulthood. You're fortunate, like you can hear things and, you know, go to the secret of your room and go and check. Oh, they said this. I've had to check some things that I've heard about sex. You know, the first time I heard about sexual brokenness, I thought about it in another line. Like when they say someone is broken, like you are vulnerable, you are receptive to the things of God, when you know, in terms of spirituality. So you know, there are some things that you hear and you just have to go and search and search. So when you get that, when they are curious or when they are curious about, they can take it the negative way or they take it the positive. All that we need to do is just direct that their focus, their curiosity, let it be directed into the right path.
That is to say that what we read, what we watch, what we see, places we go, things we involve in, what we expose ourselves to, has one or two things to do with our sexual curiosity. So viewers, watch what you see, you know, especially anything that does not have to do with the standard of God. We should check it. And parents too, please. Our mother has told us that there should be an enabling environment where we can share our curiosity. Ma, what are some examples of things that I can do, that my viewers can do, in order to keep their mind, their heart, their body, their soul, their spirit free from sexual brokenness. You know, just as you said that when someone is sexually broken, you are vulnerable to anything, very vulnerable. So how can I keep myself?
The truth is that we actually know what to do. I said it earlier that sometimes we define some things based on what we want. We want to please our own emotions. We want to please. We want to, let's say, self-gratification, and that defines what we do. We tend to water down the main principles, the main rules that has been said that we know, either in the Bible or even morally. Because I would say that sexual brokenness, all these vices, they are both against spiritual things, and even morally they are not right. That is just it. Because you cannot, you engage in a particular act and then you cannot come out. Most of these things, they are done in the secret. If someone wants to rape a 3-year-old girl, they don't do it in the open. You hear in an uncompleted building, when the child's parents was out, when they were asked to watch, you know. And I keep saying, anything that you cannot do open, just search very well. There's an altar of sin, there's an altar of evil in it. I would always say, I tell young girls that I speak to that if you cannot stand up and tell anybody that I just finished having sex now, then there's a problem. As a married person, everybody expects it. So if you go out, or maybe you are caught, somebody walks in on you doing it in the act with your husband, it is the person that would be ashamed, that would apologize and leave. Because it's done, you're doing the right thing. Possibly, okay, maybe not at the right time or not at the right place, but you understand my drift. Now, you want to avoid all this. You keep your heart. Watch what you are exposed to. You can't be feeding on pornography. You're a young man. You keep watching, looking at the pictures of naked women, half-dressed women, women that are unplanned. It will come back to you. It will definitely come back. You're watching, X-rated movies. Now that we have young people that have access to their own laptops, Android phones, they'll be in the secret of their room, and well, now the society is such that when you get to a certain age, you live there, maybe you're on the average level, you occupy 2-3 rooms, you allow your teenager to have a room, at that point, they have their privacy. What do you do in that private section, in that your private moments? So you keep feeding, you keep hearing it being said, you sit when people are talking about it, you have people talking very loud around, you sit there, you hear it. After a while, you're like, okay, it may not be as bad as it seems. Okay, let me read more about it. Initially, you may at the early stage, you're uncomfortable when things like that are discussed.
When we start sitting, getting comfortable with things, people are saying some things, matters a lot. This brings to my remembrance Psalm 1 verse 1 that says that you should not sit in the seat of the scornful, you should not walk there. So that is very, very important.
Yes.
And for me to guide myself, the word of God, I must feed more on the word of God instead of all those things. All right, thank you.
So you are very correct about that, your input. The truth is, what you feed yourself with is just like garbage in, garbage out. What you take in, you eventually, you modify it, and then you give it out. I don't always underestimate the power of influence. Wherever you sit, whoever you relate to, who are your friends? You may say, oh, well, it's not as if we are that close, but by the time you start, talking together, sitting together, you go out, you relate, it will start rubbing off on you. The negativity will start rubbing off on you gradually. It's not going to be a sudden thing. You just discover that things that you felt you have all then, you can now, you have like watered down your standard. You have lowered your standard, and you're like, well, it's not as if it is that bad, as long as you're not. So that is what has brought up all these. As long as you're not having vaginal sex, you can kiss, you can smooch, you can do all that. But as long as you've not done the main thing, you have not. No. So what you watch, who do you talk to? So when you want to guard your heart, you do away from you do away. The atmosphere is already sexually active, is activated. The environment is sexually active. Everything, those that wants to make adverts, those that are singing, everything is already sexualized. So we have enough of that already around, and there's no way we can shield our children or the youth from all that. So don't add to the already sexually perverse environment. Keep yourself. The little you are exposed to is enough for you to be curious. You understand?
Yes, ma. That means that as a child of God, I don't need to fall into the standard of the world. I need to be different from them.
Definitely.
So I think you are taking note of that. That you need to come out of them. The Bible says, "Come out of them."
Yes.
So we need to come out. We need to set our own standard. That no, you may have the word. You may be doing all this sexual adverts, this and this. No, this is me. So I am the standard of myself. That is what you are saying.
Yes.
Right.
The Bible also says, my son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. Do not consent, because it will be enticing. When you talk about sex, the truth is that if you hear anything you hear about sex, you hear positive side. Sex is sweet. Sex is this, sex is that. So who doesn't love sweet things?
Even if you have no access, you'll be having menstrual sex.
You know, you have a lot of things that are attached to sex. Oh, you have serious menstrual pain, is because you've not been having sex. You know, even men, they say, I've heard about a particular young man that said he was having under waist pain, and that a doctor prescribed that he should have sex regularly. I've heard about it. You know, a lot of things out there. But the truth is that, watch what you do. Watch where you go to. Watch your circle of friends. Surround yourself with positivity, with people going the same way you are going. People that you have the same path. You know, you're going towards the same path, the same vision. They will help you. If you want to fall, the other person will pull you up, because you have the same vision. But if you have people with diverse, you know, thoughts and ideas, they'll start watering down your own. You know, sometimes you start discussing, what do you think about this? It's not, you know, when they start giving you some scientific backup, you know, science now has a way of distorting the rules and principles of God. If they give you all those scientific backup, you start thinking, oh, maybe possible, it's likely, I've seen it. You know, you start thinking about it and start rationalizing. But the things of God, they are beyond our thoughts. You cannot rationalize it. You cannot say, there's no way you can think it and think it through. So the best way is just have a mindset, know what you want. This is where I am going. If you're going to Abuja and you face the other way, you know you're not going to get to Abuja. You make sure that those people surrounding you are people going to Abuja to do the same thing. Do you understand me? So you cannot say you're going to Abuja and take along people going to Seme border. Of course, you won't get to Abuja. You won't get it. It's two parallel lines. You won't get to Abuja.
Confusion and
just surround yourself with people. Talk to people. Immediately you see that this person's vibe, this person's notion about this particular topic, it negates mine. You just know that no, I can't keep this one as a close circle of friends. So that's what we do most of the day to help us. It is possible. Sexual purity is achievable. Let's not just. Don't let people just feel make you feel as if this thing is something. You know, I've heard of young people saying, "Oh, this person is talking about sexual purity. She's telling us not to have sex. Then she will go home and have sex." So, but for they should remember that before you got to that stage of you to be able to do it, we passed through it. It's achievable. It's achievable. And at the end of the day, you will see that okay. I don't know why younger generation tend to take the sexual thing. Most like they take it serious because eventually when you settle down and then you have a lot of things, yes, you have children, you have your career, you will see that it's not as a big a deal. Like it's good. I'm not going to say, I used to tell people that sex is good, you know, because it releases some essential hormones, serotonin, you know, all those things that will make you look younger, make your brain work, you know. I understand that part, but do it at the right time. Do it in an enabling environment where you can comfortable, where you can please God and be a model to people around you.
That's it. Pleasing God and being a model. You know, the world is already saturated with a lot of things, but pleasing God and being a model, that's it. That means that it's beyond sexual purity. You know, when I talk about sexual purity, it's still for me alone. But now, when I am especially holy, when I tend to be holy in my sexuality, that means that I'll please God and I'll also be a role model unto others. I hope you've learned a lot from this. Very much, ma, for coming to the show, for coming to tell us a lot of things. Like, even myself, I'm enlightened. There are some things I've known before, but I've been learned again. Yeah, we are really grateful. And so thank you viewers for joining us today, and I hope you're really blessed and you learned a lot from this. I learned really, really a lot. And you know what? Let me do one apropos for you. Today is our birthday. Please do well to every week. Happy birthday in the comment button. Please like, subscribe if you have not done that. Turn on the notification bell, and I'm very sure that you'll learn a great deal about your sexuality. You know what? Be the standard of yourself in this world. Thank you.